Springtime is right around the corner, and I pulled together some of my favorite spring DIYs from the past. I'm Jamie, the crafty DIY guy. Welcome back to my channel. And for project number one, we're going to take 3 bags of this floral garland that I picked up from Dollar Tree. When I saw this, I knew immediately what I wanted to do with it because I had purchased this clear umbrella when I was in Daiso about a month or so ago in San Francisco. Now, you can buy these types of clear umbrellas a lot of different places. I've seen them at Walmart, I've seen them at Target. This one was $1.75 and it was too good to pass up, and I knew I needed to do something with it when I bought it, but I wasn't exactly sure. Now, this floral garland, this is fantastic. This is so cute. It's really well made. The only thing I would caution you on is when you are going to start taking it apart, rather than just pulling the thread here, I would cut those off individually, because that thread is more or less the stitching that is holding kind of these 2-piece sets together. And you could certainly pull the thread out if you wanted to. You could go back in with some hot glue. And if you can't find this garland anywhere, I would definitely grab some felt from Dollar Tree and just freehand some flowers and just enjoy making the flowers that you're going to put onto your clear umbrella. So I am just going to very patiently work my way through all 3 bags of these garland pieces, and I'm just kind of cutting them off and then just kind of trimming really close to where the thread is and making sure that I've got all of those thread pieces gone. Now, the thread that's kind of going down the center of the flower for those kind of 2-piece sets, don't even worry about it. I think it looks cute, and I think it makes it look like it is stitched onto the umbrella when we're all said and done with this. So after lots and lots of time, you are going to have lots and lots of very cute flowers and leaves. And now it is time to have fun. So we're going to go ahead and scoot all of these out of the way, and we are going to position our umbrella on top of our workstation while trying to film. And it's a very tight space here. So this is going to be very, very awkward, but this is also a good time for me to remind you to like and subscribe and all the things to the channel. That really helps me out a lot. And I love to bring you guys more and more projects. So as you can see here, now I've got the umbrella somewhat positioned, and I'm just using hot glue on this. The hot glue was not too hot. I did a medium temperature, and I just used a regular all-purpose glue for this, and it worked out just fine. I'm using Shore Bonders, just kind of regular Shore Bonder glue, and again, it worked fantastic. Now, the flowers, I originally started sticking them on by themselves, and then I added some leaves to some, and then I added some without leaves, and it just kind of did a mishmash of it. I think if I were to do this again, I would do the leaves individually and separate from the flowers. That way, they would kind of give this full coverage effect. But the good thing about all of those bags of garland that I had, they worked out to where I had just enough of each flower color on each section of the umbrella. So it kind of worked out great. And as you can see, as I'm kind of working myself around, I've got more and more flowers that are popping up everywhere. And this turns out just so cute. Now, I have a really good friend who is pregnant right now, and she is pregnant with a little girl, and she's doing all flowers and, you know, like rabbits and like garden stuff and things like that in the nursery. And so I thought that this would be perfect. And she actually wants to turn this into a mobile for her, is it mobile? In the nursery, and I think that is just so cute. She's not going to hang it over the crib because it is kind of a larger umbrella, but she's going to hang it in the corner that's going to be kind of under the rocking chair, which I think is so sweet. So more to come there. Hopefully I will get some pictures of that and we'll be able to share those with you. So now that you've got everything done, boom, you've got the cutest and clearly I'm very happy with it, umbrella. That is so fun. You could totally wear this to a festival. You could wear it to the park. I say wear it because it's kind of like an accessory, right? You've got all these bright colors. You might as well deck yourself out and have a good time doing it. So this next DIY was actually inspired by a birdhouse that I saw at Home Depot. So I grabbed this birdhouse for $5 from Dollar Tree in their kind of Dollar Tree Plus section. And then I have some reindeer moss here. I want to point out something to you. There's two different packages of reindeer moss. You would think that the one on the left is bigger just based on the packaging, but check out the sizing. Even though it's just slightly different, that is something to note. And I actually like the color of the one on the left a little bit better, but yeah, the more you know. I took my birdhouse outside and I spray painted it brown. This is actually a gloss brown color that's called leather. And I didn't want a leather birdhouse, but I did want a brown birdhouse, and this was the only brown that I had. So I just went with that one. So if you're wondering, specifically like what color this is by Rust-Oleum, and I really do love the color of it, and I'm looking forward to using this brown leather spray paint for something else other than this birdhouse, which we're going to be completely covering up very, very soon here. So I went ahead and did a couple coats of that paint, and then when it's all done, you've got something that looks like this. Now, it is time to start covering this birdhouse, and we are going to completely cover this in this reindeer moss. Now, I ended up using about 2.5 packages, and I'm also using this tacky glue that I picked up when I think I went to Hobby Lobby. Maybe it was even from Michael's. But anyway, you're going to take this outside because this is going to be a mess, and you're going to get a cardboard box or something. I've just got an old banker's box here, and you're going to shake up your glue first of all so it doesn't glob like that, but that's okay. It's going to help stick the moss. You're going to just cover your birdhouse. You're going to do this one side at a time. The only side that I did not do was the very bottom of the birdhouse, and we'll kind of talk about that later on. But the moss, you are literally just taking this reindeer moss and you are just going to be gluing this down. Now this is it's not really a tedious process. Do not worry about getting it nice and flat, because as you will see coming up, we will be kind of giving this guy a little bit of a haircut, but you are literally just going to cover, and when I say cover, I do mean cover this in this reindeer moss. And the great thing about doing it in a box like this is that you can also kind of pick up any of the residual reindeer moss that might kind of, fall out, just like I did there. How about timing for that? And you're just going to continue to stick this on top of any of that wood surface. Now, I completely covered all of the sides of this except for the bottom of this. And I originally was not going to do the roof, but then decided to also cover the roof. So this is completely covered in reindeer moss. And when it's all done, it's going to kind of look like Cousin It. It's going to look like this. Now, this is not really cute, but we are going to give it a haircut, and we're going to start to define some of those spots on the birdhouse. So you can actually see the shape of the birdhouse, and it's literally just taking a pair of scissors and just start trimming away. Think about all those eaves and all the points of the roof. You're going to make sure that you're getting all of those areas nice and trimmed and cut until it looks like this. Now, I did want my birdhouse to be able to stand up on its own, so I found this old porch railing that I picked up at a local reclaim store. It was $2. And then I have this sign from Dollar Tree that's kind of that MDF wood, and it's called Happiness is Homemade, which I thought was kind of perfect for this. Now, for the base here, the sign is going to serve as the base for my birdhouse. I'm actually just going to remove the price tag there, and then we're just going to drill a hole in the center of this. That way I have a nice pilot hole for my screw, which I am going to then also screw into the base. That way it holds everything up right onto that porch finial that we grabbed. Now, this is kind of an awkward moment because of just the setup and the size of this, but I wanted my kind of base of the birdhouse to have that kind of woodland touch, like it's something that's been growing. So I had this trailing vine, this ivy garland that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and all I did was just staple this onto the back using my staple gun, and then I just wrapped this up around. Now, at the top of my finial, it was not a smooth surface, and I didn't have the proper tool to go ahead and just cut that out. So I just added some hot glue and then just glued my birdhouse directly on top of it. this is what it looks like before I put it outside on the front porch. I really, really love this. I think it's so cute. It is the perfect welcome for my front porch. I love the color. I love how organic it looks. I love that brown that's popping out to make it look like it's really something that's been just kind of sitting outside and building up some age over time. I'm obsessed with this project. Now, Dollar Tree seemed to go a little overboard on the nautical theme for the summer. However, these round signs are really great to use. And I wanted to create a tray with this great rope from Dollar Tree that I could have on my front porch. Now, I had 2 bundles here, but I did end up using almost 3 bundles. So keep that in mind. I've also got some twine that we're going to use as some decorative accents for the rope itself when we create the handles. Now, the great thing about this sign is that you could either do your rope right on top of it if you wanted to, or you could flip it over and use the back side. I chose to use the back side of this because I wanted to have just kind of a nice clean surface. And since some of that is that lovely glitter that I used to love glitter. Now I don't really like glitter so much. I totally understand what Whitney from Whiskey and Wit was saying, but she's not a glitter fan either. And during our last mystery box challenge, I did send her a few things with glitter on there. So Whitney, I apologize. I feel your pain now. Totally understand it. So we're gonna go with this side here. Now I am just going to go ahead and just do a crisscross with my ruler here, and I'm doing that just because I want to try and find the center spot. I'm really trying to make sure that this tray is going to be as centered as possible, and the rope on there, that way, you know, it just looks cute. I want it to look really cute because this is something that's going to sit out on my front porch. I do want it to be, you know, usable, first of all, and I want it to look nice, and having this nice solid base is going to actually be great for it. Now, I still didn't get my center point quite right there, but I got a general idea at least. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a big glob of glue here, and we are going to start gluing. Now, one tip about this rope, in particular this white rope, if you trim off that little plastic piece at the front, this rope frays so bad. And because it's a very, very soft kind of fabric or rope or whatever it's made out of, it frays even more if you try to use the lighter trick to this. So don't do that. Just keep that one piece there in the center with that tape on it, and then just start gluing and working your way around. Now, when you do get to the point that you're going to have to add the second bundle and the third bundle of rope, I can actually show you how I did that. All I did was just cut the rope at a slight angle and then just kind of joined it together with the other piece using my spatula tool that I picked up from Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square section. So just keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping until you are done completely covering your tray in rope. And when you have that done, it's going to look something like this. Now, for the handles, you could do a couple different options. You could certainly add handles from maybe an old dresser or something, or I think even like the starfish or the sand dollars would be really cute to add to this as handles. I'm actually just going to use more rope. So all I'm going to do is just take the rope. We're going to cut it down into 2 pieces. I am keeping this kind of long on purpose. I just wanted it longer. I was thinking, kind of visualizing, like if I'm carrying something, having the longer rope would be a little bit better for stability. I don't really know if that's going to be the case or not, but I'll let you know. And then I just trimmed off 2 pieces of rope that were the same size, and then started wrapping the twine around the base. And then after that was all glued and set up, then I went ahead and just trimmed down that white rope really, really closely to the brown twine there. That way it created a really flush surface to be able to glue down my rope handles. And as you can see, it is all done. I really love the way that this works, the way it looks, and it is so, so cute out on my front porch. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Of course, let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. And if you are a long-term subscriber of mine, you know I call you guys my OGs. That just means you're a part of the original gang here at the Crafty DIY Guy. Thank you guys so much. If you are not a subscriber, hopefully you liked this video enough that you will end up subscribing to my channel and hanging out with us. I don't know about you guys, but I think I certainly have a favorite DIY. All right, guys, take care. I will chat with you later. Bye-bye. DIY, I'm going to take 2 of these garland packages that I picked up from Dollar Tree. They were $1.25 each, and I grabbed 2 of them because within the package themselves, there are not 2 of each color. So you'll want to be sure and have at least 2 packages of these to do this particular DIY. For this DIY, for my version of it anyway, I'm going to be using 4 of the bunnies. I want to use 2 of each color, and I'm going to have 4 bunnies in total when I'm done. Now, if you have a 6-seater dining room table or you have an 8-seater dining room table, then you will use that many bunnies to coordinate with however many seats that you have. So on one of the bunnies, I'm going to go ahead and take the tail off. And to do that, all I'm going to do is take some scissors and just trim away that cotton ball. And then all I'm going to do is take my heat gun and just heat up the glue and then remove it with my scraping tool like so. Now, for the bunny that is remaining, that would be the bunny with the cotton tail on it, you are going to then go through and cut the heads off of those bunnies, and you will have 2 pieces that will end up like this. Then you want to go ahead and just take some hot glue, and you are going to glue the lower part of the body, I guess, from the first bunny back on top of this. And what you're going to essentially be doing is creating a pocket, because you are not going to add glue across the neckline of the bunnies. This sounds so morbid, but I promise you it's going to be really cute when it's all done. Now, because this is felt, you do want to do this in smaller batches. So as you can see here, I've got my fine tip gun from Shore Bonder, and I am just going to be going all the way around and making sure that that's glued down. And then I'm going to go up the side. And again, I'm going to make sure that I leave the top part by the neck where I'm sticking my finger in right now. We are going to keep that one fully open. You're not going to want to seal that shut at all. The next thing I did was just take some Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'm going to just tie little tiny bows, and we are going to be gluing these to the tops of the bunny's head to help cover up that hole that is left from me not using these as garland pieces. And now that my bunnies are all done, we are going to take them to the dining room table, and we are going to create some cute little silverware pockets that we can set up for our Easter dinner. I really love the way that these turned out. I think that they're super cute, and it's a fun way to decorate for Easter dinner. For my next DIY, I'm going to be using this kissing booth tray that I picked up from Dollar Tree. This was actually Valentine's, and it was on 50% clearance, so I grabbed it up. And then also, I wanted to use this Easter grass inserts that I picked up. I grabbed these at Hobby Lobby, and they were $4.99 each, and I wanted to go ahead and use them to line the inside of this tray. The first thing I wanted to do, though, was paint this tray white, and I'm actually focusing on the outside of the tray and the handles. If I don't fully cover the kissing booth center in the in the center of the tray, then that is not a big deal because that Easter grass is going to completely cover this. So you are not going to have to even worry about that. You could certainly put several coats on here if you wanted to, or even use some kind of a wood filler or something, because that kissing booth signage there is kind of etched into the wood. Totally up to you. You'll see, though, once you put this Easter grass on top of it, that you do not even see that. Now, I've got my tray painted here. Again, I didn't worry about the inside of it. And I'm going to go ahead and place one of these Easter grass sets kind of inside of the tray. And you'll see that it is the perfect width for the tray itself. Now, again, this is the tray from Dollar Tree that you can get in the Dollar Tree Plus section. And then for this second piece, I am just going to trim this down just with a pair of scissors and literally just fit it right inside there, because this is going to be my new centerpiece for my dining room table. You could also use this very, very easily for your coffee table. Totally up to you. And because this is actually really, really easy plastic to cut, as you can see, it just comes right apart. We're going to get rid of this price tag, of course, that's still on there. And we're just going to retrofit and insert this right away. And as you can see, it is pretty seamless. Now, this next part here, this is totally up to you. You can decorate your tray however you want. I have this fantastic bunny family that I picked up from Amazon. I thought that this was so cute, and I'm just going to add a very simple candle to the middle of it and keep my table very, very just kind of simple and natural. I love the way this looks. You could also have fun with this, and you could add a Dollar Tree bunny rabbit and some eggs, and you could create a very festive centerpiece that would go with any of your Easter themes. For this next DIY, we're going to be using some of this reindeer moss. I also have this wood bunny cutout and this cute little cotton ball. I'm also going to be taking this Dollar Tree picture frame that has this very cool easel back to it, and we are going to create a fun Easter DIY with this. Now, the first thing I did was take my bunny outside and I did spray paint it pink. You could certainly use chalk paint if you wanted to. I just did the spray paint because I love spray paint. And then for the frame itself, we are going to take our frame and we are going to add some of our Easter moss to it. And the way that we are going to do that is we are going to be gluing this Easter moss or this reindeer moss right on top of the frame. And you can do this directly onto the glass. It will totally hold. And as you can see, I am just working in little batches at a time. I'm adding some of this reindeer moss along it, and then as I am kind of continuing on, I will make sure that I get all of the corners and the edges, and then we will trim away any of that excess Easter moss that is kind of hanging off the sides there, because we are wanting this to look as good as possible, of course, but we want it to look nice and full. Now, the next thing you're going to do after you've got your reindeer moss frame all set up is you are going to take your wooden Easter bunny and you are going to add a ton of hot glue to it, and you are going to glue this directly down in the center of your reindeer moss frame. Now, I thought that this was super, super adorable, and then of course I did have to add that cotton ball tail, and it is the cutest thing that you can put on a tiered tray. You could put it on your coffee table. I think it is super, super adorable, and I love the way that this turned out. Now for my next DIY, we are going to be using this large Easter egg cutout that I picked up from Dollar Tree. It was in the Dollar Tree Plus section, and it was $5. And I am going to be creating my own Easter egg with this. Now, I'm going to be using these bulk flower heads that I picked up on Amazon. If you had Dollar Tree flowers, if you had an excess of them, you could very easily do this same project using those. Now, I took my egg outside, and I am going to be using spray paint once again for this because you know I love my spray paint. And for this one, I am just going to be using that same white matte finish Rust-Oleum spray paint that I used for my tray earlier. I'm going to go ahead and give this 2 really good coats, and then we are going to take this inside, and we are going to start on part 2 of our fun DIY. Now, when I said that this was fun, it is going to be fun because we are going to be using a ton of these flowers. Now, I bought 2 bags of these flowers because I wanted to be sure and have enough to cover this egg completely. And believe it or not, the 2 bags actually worked out perfectly. Now, the only color that I did not use were the red ones. I did go ahead and put those aside. All I'm going to do is just take my flowers and start separating them into 2 piles. And then you'll also notice that the flower heads have this little bit of an end on them. And I'm going to start snipping all of those tips off of there, because we want the flower heads to sit as flat as possible onto our wood surface. Now, once that I have all of those flowers prepared and all of those tips snipped off, I'm going to start layering my flowers onto each section of my egg. Now, my egg just happens to be 4 sections, and I'm using 4 different colors. If that is not something that you wanted to do, if you wanted to add more colors to this, you certainly could. All I'm doing is adding a generous amount of hot glue directly onto each floral petal, and then I am going to be gluing this down down directly onto the wood. Now, I love the way that this is turning out, and I love the fact that it's got these great kind of large chunks of colors. Again, if you wanted to mix this up, if you wanted to stripe it, there are so many fun things that you can do. I also noticed that I happen to have a lot more pink flowers than I did some of the other colors. So I started in these smaller sections of the egg with the smaller amounts of flowers. That way I was sure to have maximum coverage in all of the sections that I was working in. Once I had this all done, this is how it looked, and I thought it was super, super cute. I added a very simple bow at the top. I'm not super happy with the bow. I'm probably going to end up going to Dollar Tree soon, and I will definitely pick up some brighter colored Easter ribbon, but I do think that this is a super fun DIY, and it is very great for Easter. It will look fantastic out on the front porch or even in your living room somewhere. I'm going to be doing over this wheelbarrow that I picked up for $4.09 at my local Goodwill store. I found this and knew that I wanted to make a project with it, and the first thing I did was grab some white spray paint. I'm using the Rust-Oleum's just matte white paint on this, and I did do about 3 coats on this. This was a tough one to cover up. The MDF that this little wheelbarrow is made out of was very porous, we'll say. And I did end up doing, like I said, about 3 coats of this. So once it was all done, I was really happy with it. It was still kind of rustic looking, but it turned out really, really cute. Now, these succulents, speaking of cute, oh my gosh, this was such a good deal, you guys. I grabbed 22 pieces, a 22-piece set from Amazon for $22.99. Now, that is cheaper than what you can get succulents at Dollar Tree for. And I have to tell you, these succulents are incredible, and they're going to fill up this wheelbarrow so, so good. Now, I also did grab some reindeer moss, and I have this floral foam from Dollar Tree. Now, if you don't like Amazon or you don't want to order any, you could certainly use Dollar Tree succulents as well. It might cost you a little bit more, but this succulent set is exceptional. I absolutely loved the way this looked, especially this one. Look at this guy. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my Dollar Tree foam, go ahead and unwrap that. And as you can see, these 2 blocks fit perfectly inside of here. Now, I do kind of wish I maybe would have grabbed one more and kind of filled up the wheelbarrow. But the way it ends up looking at the end, I'm actually really, really happy with it still. So if you, if you don't have enough floral foam, don't worry about it. You'll see it's going to turn out really, really gorgeous. Now, I'm going to add a lot of hot glue onto that foam block and just glue that directly down into the wheelbarrow. You certainly don't have to do that. The great thing about using hot glue is that you can really, really easily remove it. I'm going to go ahead and add some more glue stick here into the back of my Shore Bonder glue gun that I love so, so much. And we are just going to add more glue on the back of that floral foam block. And we are going to stick this down, and we are going to start adding our succulents. Now, I have never been a floral designer or anything like that, clearly, as you can see from that one here. But I did just kind of start playing around with these and just kind of figuring, these long kind of traily pieces, I thought that they would look really cute. I thought that it could be a great way to even fill up like the back of that wheelbarrow. And I just kind of started stabbing the foam. There was literally nothing that I did. There was no real plan of action here. And I just started kind of stabbing the foam. And I love the way that this started to look. And as you can see with all of these great succulents, it really started to fill everything out. And it just started looking amazing. The great thing about this is I literally used all 22 of those succulents in this wheelbarrow, and it could not have turned out cuter, especially this big one in the middle here. I was so happy with this particular one. The size of that one, you guys, this was a 22-piece set for $22.99, and shipping was free because I'm an Amazon Prime member. I will definitely have this succulent set linked in my bio below because I think it is such an incredible deal, especially for the quality of the succulent plants that you're getting. They look real, and this looks so cute. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please give me a thumbs up. That helps my channel out so much. Also, be sure and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified every time I do upload a brand new video like this gorgeous succulent wheelbarrow here. As you can see, we're going to add a little bit of color in here, but then I'm going to decide not to add that one there. We're going to spin this around, and we're just literally filling in all the nooks and crannies. And when this is done, it is so gorgeous. I love the way this looks so much. I think that this is going to be a staple I'm going to keep in my office. And also what is great about this is look at the transition that you see when you take this white wheelbarrow and you put it up against like dark furniture like I've got here in my office. I am loving the way that this looks, and I think that this is going to be a piece that I really do have for a long time. And for my next DIY, I'm going to be using a piece of my scrap MDF here. Now, you can use scrap wood from Dollar Tree. You can use free wood that you can pick up on Facebook Marketplace. Home Depot and Lowe's has free wood kind of bins that you can get stuff from. So definitely take advantage of those. And then you're going to grab 4 of these smaller clay pots. And then you're going to grab 4 of these hanging lid kind of converters. They take a mason jar and they turn a mason jar into something that you can hang, but they are also the perfect size for these smaller pots. How cute is that? So we are going to take this and we are going to create a hanging planter. In my case, I'm going to be doing a planting or a succulent planter, and we are going to really create something that is super cute. Now, the great thing about this is, you know, my style, if you know me, I tend to kind of lean more towards that industrial vibe. So like the black lids that I'm using here, and then the wood tone, that is perfect in my house. It's perfect in my office. However, this is so easy to be customized. You could totally paint this. You can totally do a lot of different things with this. Make it your own. Have fun with it. Now, you're also going to need a couple really small screws, and you're going to want to take all of these chains off of here. Why couldn't I think of what these were called? And they won't come off, by the way, if you just pull them like that. I thought they would. They may if I would have kept pulling. I don't have a lot of strength still in my left arm. So definitely grab a pair of pliers or something like that. It will make it go so much easier. I'm telling you, it will make all the difference in the world. And as I was just kind of pulling those off, you just kind of pull and twist. Be sure and keep the chain. You can never know when you're going to be able to use that kind of chain. Those chains could be fantastic to use for hangers. You can use it for all kinds of things. So go ahead and take all of your chains off of your lids, and then you are going to start to kind of measure out your pilot holes of where you are going to be screwing these lids into your board. Now, the way I did that was I literally just kind of took my straight edge here and I took a ruler and I just laid it out flat across my wood piece and just kind of eyeballed the lid placement. I was really more worried about keeping the lids straight. And again, the spacing, you could certainly measure that if you wanted to. I totally eyeballed it, and I think it worked out really good. The first thing I did was drill some pilot holes directly into my wood MDF piece, and then you are going to drill holes into your lids. This will help when you are screwing everything together. Now, obviously, when you do this, you want to be very careful. If you have a vice grip or something like that, you should definitely use that and not be a bonehead like I did here holding my lids. I did go very slow with my drill and just made sure I was super careful. I'm trying not to have any more accidents, especially with that left arm. That was that one that was broken. So we need to make sure we're keeping everything nice and safe. And then I literally just took my drill and I am just drilling those right into the back to where you have something that looks like this. So now for this next part, we are going to take 4 succulents that I picked up from Dollar Tree. These are the ones that are already in the little pots. And what's so great about these is that you can reuse the foam or the styrofoam that's in there, all you're going to do is just kind of work the foam out of there. Some of them will come out really, really easy, especially if you find these that have this kind of spongy foam to it. They are the best ones. The ones that have styrofoam, they will kind of end up crumbling because of the glue, but again, they will work itself out. You could certainly do it. So now you want to put a hanger on the back of your MDF board. However, I do not recommend you do it this way, and I'm going to actually show you the mistake that I made. So the first thing I did was just kind of figure out with my rope here about how long I wanted it to be, and then I cut my rope down. Then I added some glue, thinking that that would be the best bet for this because I knew it was going to be heavy. I wanted to add a generous amount of glue. I put my rope down, and as you can see, I also used my little tape method that I always do. I add my rope, I add a bunch of hot glue, and then I also add my green kind of painter's tape on top of that. I do that while the glue is nice and wet still, and it holds really, really well. However, the problem with this is that it became kind of top heavy, and the rope was just not sturdy enough to kind of hold this. So when I kind of figured that out, I thought, well, maybe if I added like a little anchor or something on the bottom of this, that would help. So I added another piece of rope and thought, well, maybe that would help, but it just did not work. So I ended up taking the rope off of it completely. I did leave the one on there that I put at the bottom, but I did replace the rope with this hanger that I had. It was in my kind of junk drawer. I always say you should have a junk drawer for these little random pieces because you never know when you're going to need them again or use them again. And this was the perfect example. I was able to take this. I did add some hot glue, and then I did take a hammer and just kind of bang it into the MDF, and then combined with the tape method, this was the perfect way to hang this. And as you can see, it is hanging on the wall. It is great. I love this again so much. Think that it's so, so cute and such a great way to use those little hanging lids. And of course, our favorite project focus, succulents. Now, if you are still with me in the comments below, leave the word succulent. Our next project, of course, is going to feature even more succulents. We're taking a couple of those extra clay pots that we had, some succulents and some reindeer moss, and we are going to create the cutest little magnets with these magnets that I also picked up from Dollar Tree. I was shocked when I saw these. They were from Staples, and I could not believe that these were at Dollar Tree. So of course I had to grab them. I found them in the hardware section. And by the way, this is 6 magnets in this package, which is fantastic. And these are really, really strong, by the way. So for this next part, all you have to do is just add some reindeer moss into each one of your terracotta pots here. And you can just fill this up. Feel free and fill this up. You could add some foam if you wanted to, or something to kind of help fill that up. But the reindeer moss is actually really, really light. So if you put, rocks or something like that, you're going to compromise the integrity of your magnets, which you don't want to do. And so just kind of fill up those pots. Enjoy the process. It's okay if you have a little extra that you're, giving in there. You're not wasting everything. It's okay. Now you're going to also add some hot glue to the bottom of your succulents. Now, these are the succulents from Dollar Tree that you get that have the kind of clip on the bottom of them, and then I've just removed the clip. These were actually in my stash. I didn't have to remove the clip from some of the previous ones, or at least not for this one, and you're just going to repeat the process. Now I've got 2 different ones here. I think I like this one better, and as you can see, I already removed that clip here as well. So again, just adding a bunch of hot glue and just gluing it right on top. Now, once that has set, then you are going to glue the magnets onto your terracotta pot. Now, I'm using 2 of the magnets. That's why they look kind of thick there, because remember, that was a 6-pack of magnets. And these are going to hold remarkably well on the refrigerator. And again, I'm just using hot glue for this. The great thing about hot glue is if you decide you want to use these pots for something else, all you have to do is take your heat gun, activate that glue, and then you'll be able to pull those magnets off of there really, really easily. The same, of course, with the succulents and the reindeer moss and kind of everything else involved. Now, as you can see, these are on my stainless steel refrigerator. I do not recommend that you put magnets on the stainless steel part or on the shiny part of your refrigerator just to prevent scratches. On the side of my refrigerator, I have a black side, and that's where I keep all of my magnet collections, including this little special magnet that I picked up when I was in Boston with all of my YouTube friends, and we had such a fantastic trip. This is just a great reminder of that boat that we took over to Salem. We had such a good time, and I am so looking forward to seeing everybody again. I hope you love this project. And then for the next project, we're going to take this very cute board that I picked up from Dollar Tree. We have 2 more magnets. We have these rub-on transfers, and then of course we have some succulents. I'm not sure if you have seen these yet in your Crafter Square section, but definitely be on the lookout for them. They are a metal kind of a magnetic board, if you will, and there's cardboard on the back, and you can make such a cute magnetic board with succulents. We're again taking that succulent that I didn't use from that previous project. We're going to go ahead and just carefully remove this. I could have taken some scissors if I wanted to. I was kind of in a zen mood, just kind of chilling out tonight, listening to some music, creating some crafts. Went ahead and took off that little glob of glue that was holding on that clip, and then I'm just going to trim this piece here down as tightly as I can, and then we are just going to add our magnet directly on the back of this. Now for this one, we're only going to use just one of those magnets, so you can go ahead and just separate those and then just have that other magnet in your stash. Or if you have another succulent, go ahead and create another succulent magnet or another magnet of some kind that will complement your board that you're going to be doing here. This is definitely kind of a farmhousey kind of a look. This is a cool vibe. I would say it even leans a little modern farmhouse with the brown kind of tones, and then of course adding in the black lettering. These rub-on transfers, the new rub-on transfers that they are getting from Dollar Tree, are just incredible. If you've not seen these, definitely look for them in the sticker section or in the Crafter Square section, and use some scissors, because the paper or the plastic that is kind of sealing everything in here, it's really, really good and really, really hard to rip into. Now, I decided I wanted to use this welcome one in the center, and I loved kind of the plants that were flanking each side of the welcome sign there, so I'm just going to cut those out. The great thing about these rub-on transfers too is that you can really customize this and you can make this your own. For me, I thought that these were going to be just perfect. I love the size of them. I loved everything about them, and what's so cool about them is that they're really easy to work with. When you remove that white backing and you place this down, this is pretty close to being permanent, I have to tell you. So make sure that when you do place this down, it is in a spot that you love. And then I started rubbing it with my finger, but I did pull out my Cricut tool and I just kind of rubbed it like this. And that really helped just kind of make sure that every single part was adhering down. Now, I used this Cricut tool here, but you could also find something very similar at Dollar Tree. They also have this kind of spatula kind of tool that Cricut makes, but also I've seen a kind of a knockoff version at Dollar Tree that you can use. And as you can see, when you peel this away, it really, really looks amazing. You don't have to have an expensive vinyl cutter or anything. I do recommend that you not push down quite as hard as I did. As you can see, I kind of dented mine in the corner there. For the hanger, I didn't want to use nautical rope because I thought it would just look too thick. And I didn't want to use just one piece of twine either. So I'm going to take my twine here and I'm going to triple it up. And when I triple it up, then I'm just going to kind of cut the ends of it. That way I have 3 equal pieces. And then I'm going to tie it in a knot in the center, and then I'm going to use my glue and tape trick on the back of this and just make sure that that hanger is in place and perfect. And I decided at the last minute I would add another little rub-on transfer. So I'm going to do that here in the corner. And boom, you've got the cutest little succulent magnet memo board. You can hang this on your refrigerator. I kind of even think this could be something really cute for the front door, or maybe even for the back door, like a honey-do list kind of a thing. I think that there's so many fun things that you could do with this, and it's super, super cute. And it features the project of the day, which is all about succulents. All right, and for my last succulent project, we're going to take this white vase that I picked up from Dollar Tree, some twine, and of course a succulent. And believe it or not, these vases are plastic. I've seen them in white and I've seen them in black, and I really love the texture of these. And I think that they could be used for so many cool projects. Now, for this one, we're keeping this so simple. I'm literally going to wrap kind of the center of this with some twine. I'm going to add just a dab of hot glue. Maybe that was a little more than a dab. And then I'm going to take my twine and we are just going to wrap it around the neck or the skinnier part of this. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm just kind of doing maybe 4 or 5 kind of passes around the center. And then I'm going to bring it back to that kind of area where I added my little dab of hot glue. And I'm just going to trim my twine off, and then we're going to add our succulent, and then we're going to add a little bow, and you've got a cute little vase that you can use as a display on a bookshelf. It could go in the bathroom. There's a lot of different ways you could do this, and you could even have some fun with some other attachments other than succulents if you're not in love with succulents quite like I am. Take one of these larger Dollar Tree mirrors, as well as some beads that I currently have on a string there already. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the packaging from our mirror, and then we're going to very carefully take our backing off of this. This will also include your mirror. We'll set that aside for right now, and we'll come back to that. For this frame, I am going to go ahead and paint this with chalk paint. Unfortunately, it is raining outside, so I cannot use my typical spray paint that I would typically do for this. However, the chalk paint actually worked pretty well on this. For this plastic frame, I do recommend doing at least 3 coats, and definitely use your heat gun in between. I had to do that, and this was a little tricky. Painting on the plastic with the chalk paint was a little challenging, but it definitely is doable. After you've gone through and given your frame the desired number of coats, go ahead and just dry it really good with your heat gun, or just let it dry, and then you are going to start working on your mirror. For the mirror itself, I wanted to make sure that my mirror was centered, because when I took it off of the frame, it actually was not centered. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my pen. I'm going to write around, or draw around, trace around the inner circle there. I'm going to add a generous amount of hot glue onto this, and then I am going to take my mirror and glue it right back into the center, kind of within that line that I traced on the actual frame, or on that cardboard backing, I should say. After that has dried and all set up, I'm then just going to simply replace it onto the backing of my mirror, and we are going to move to the next part. After my backing was dried, I then took my beaded string and I was going to glue this to the back of my mirror. All I did was just kind of place this at like 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. I added a generous amount of hot glue and then made sure that that string was also glued down to the back of that mirror. I simply added some tape to make sure that everything was held in place. And when it was all done, this is what it looked like. I absolutely love this. I love even the way that the chalk paint didn't quite adhere to all of the pieces of that frame itself. It gives it a really cool farmhouse look, and I really am happy with this mirror. And for my next project, I'm going to take one of these hanging shelves. They come in a 2-pack, and you can get these at Dollar Tree. They also come with this twine as well as a hook. I'm also going to add some beads. These are the same beads that I used for the previous project in the mirror. The first thing you've got to do is get into this sucker. This plastic is not playing around. So once you've finally figured out how to get into this thing, you can either do both shelves or you can do just one shelf. shelf. I'm actually just doing one shelf for this particular project. Now, you're going to get 2 pieces of string. You're going to think that they shorthanded you, but what you'll actually do is just take one of these long strands, kind of bring them end to end, and then you'll go ahead and just cut this in the middle here, and then that will give you the 2 strings that you need for your shelf. Now, that O-ring that's in the middle there, that is totally optional. I did end up putting that on at first, and then I decided not to use it afterwards, and you'll actually see why. So for this twine, or this, it's twine, you want to make sure that this is nice and tight. So I'm going to add some hot glue to the end of that. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it's going to harden the end, it's going to harden the tip, and make it almost like threading a needle, and it's going to make threading your beads so much easier. This is the technique that I use for all of my beads. Now, these wooden beads came off of a garland. I've had these for quite some time. And all I'm going to do is just start threading each one of my strings until they are completely covered in beads. Now, I went ahead and I did 40 beads per strand. So after I've got everything threaded and alternated through and ready to go, now it is time to go ahead and just start putting these in the shelf itself. Go ahead and take a screwdriver, make your holes a little bit bigger if you have to, and then you're going to pull that thread through. You're going to go ahead and tie it in a short knot kind of at the end there, and play around with it a little bit. It's going to be a little tough sometimes, at least this one was for me. And then I'm going to pull my beads really, really tight onto one side, and then we're going to fill in the other side with our other strands. So, hopefully that makes sense. I don't think I said that in order. Go ahead and put your strands on either side, and then you're going to tighten them up. There I go. Tighten them up and make sure that everything is nicely connected and very, very tight at the end. And then you're going to feed these 2 pieces through the O-ring itself. Now, again, I ended up taking that O-ring off and just using a piece of twine to tie my ends together. I just didn't like the way the O-ring looked, but you kind of can do either way. And then after you've got everything threaded through and tightened, this is what it looks like. I am in love with this shelf. I love how I took a Dollar Tree shelf and really, really elevated it to something really, really fancy. And for this next project, we are going to take 4 of these wooden squares I picked up at my local hobby store. Also, I have this strand of garland that is from Walmart. This is actually Christmas garland that was left over. I loved this gray and white. Now, if you don't have any beads that are already painted, you can also get beads at Dollar Tree. They have unfinished wooden beads in the crafter square section, and they look like this. You could very easily paint yours, but I didn't have to. I also, if you don't have some small wood squares, you could take a piece of trim like this and very easily cut it up. For your 4 squares, you're going to go ahead and drill a hole on either side of your wood piece. Now, this drill bit is not going all the way through. That would kind of be ideal. I did not have a drill bit that was quite long enough, so I went down as far as I could on each side of my wood block, and I just repeated that on all 4 of my wood blocks. Now, these will not go all the way through. However, we're going to make it look like it's gone all the way through on each one of these. So after you've gone ahead and got all 4 of your squares completely drilled out and ready to go, you can start painting these. I'm just going to go ahead and take some white chalk paint, and I am just going to paint all 4 sides, or all 6 sides, I guess, of my square here. I'm going to paint the front, I'm going to paint the sides, and then I'm going to paint the other side. So if my math is right, I'm going to paint all the sides. I don't know how many they are. I'm going to paint everything in 2 coats of chalk paint, just making sure that everything is nice and covered. And then I'm going to take my heat gun out and make sure that everything is nice and dry before moving on to the next step. Now for my DIY, I'm not going to be using the garland that is kind of intact. This is way too long. And I want these beads to be used, for other projects in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove all of these beads from the string. This is a pretty easy way to do this. You can do this without making any kind of a major mess. As you can imagine, once you cut that string, you're going to have beads everywhere. So if you just do it over a glass jar or some sort of container where you keep all of your beads, then this is a pretty foolproof way to store these when you're done and only use the ones that you need. Now, I went ahead and just did a very simple tassel at the end of a piece of twine. I am not a great tassel maker. I'm not a great tassel maker, and I'm not a great bow maker. So forgive me for not showing you exactly how I'm doing this tassel. However, you can Google. There's a lot of really great tutorials out on YouTube. I should probably do it myself. Now I brought those two pieces of twine together, and then I just added some more hot glue on the end. That way I had a kind of a nice stiff needle point. And then I'm going to start threading my beads once I figure out kind of what my color pattern is here. I've not really sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I think I ended up going with a gray and then a couple white and then another gray. And you're going to feed this all the way down to the end where your tassel is. And then this is where you're going to kind of fool the eye or kind of do the optical illusion. Now, if you have your drill bit that's long enough, you won't have to do this part. But this is kind of the idea. You're threading this square block onto your string. However, my holes do not go all the way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down about a finger's width here, and then I'm going to use my kind of needle trick, if you will, and I'm going to add some hot glue onto the tip of my string here, and then I'm going to just wait for it to cool down for just a second, and then I'm going to kind of twist it all together. That way I have a nice point. Then I'm going to add glue into the hole, and then I'm going to take my twine and I'm just going to push it right through that glue while it's still nice and wet and just connect everything that way. Now, you will repeat this process for all 4 of your wood blocks. And if you need a screwdriver or a skewer or something to help push that thread or that twine through, go right ahead and do that. You can definitely play around with this, and as you can see, it will eventually tighten up. And then you are going to take another piece of twine. You're going to take some beads again. You're going to thread them through again, and then you're going to repeat that same process. Now, with this one that already has the kind of tip glued down, you can easily just kind of push that in through there like so, and then just keep repeating that process until you're done. And then at the other end, you're going to tie another tassel. So I just kind of wrap my twine up around my fingers, and I kind of do something that I think looks like a tassel and tie it off at the end. And again, I'm not great at tassels, but when you are done, it's going to look something like this. Now, you've got those 4 blocks that you can kind of write something on. You could use a Cricut, you could use stickers. I'm just going to use my Arteza paint pen, and I'm just going to spell out the word home just using my freehand and my Arteza paint pen. Now, these are acrylic markers. I actually really do like the way that these work. Again, I'm not the best at freehand, but I'm going to go ahead and just give it a try. This is something that pretty much everybody can do. As long as you're not too hard on yourself with your handwriting, then I think that this can be a lot of different fun. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of play around with this. And when you're all done, you've got this great looking tassel. I love the way this looks. This would be so cute on a tiered tray or a farmhouse setting. I really think that there's a lot of great options with this one, and I really love the way that this turned out. And for this last DIY, I'm going to take 3 of these signs that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. They were on sale for 79 cents each, so they worked out really good. If you need to repeat this or want to repeat this using Dollar Tree signs, you can very easily do this. All you have to do is find 3 signs that are the exact same that have that wood frame to them. Also, you're going to need some more wood beads. Imagine that. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove these price stickers. They actually came off pretty easily here using my heat gun, which was a refreshing change because, as you know, sometimes removing these little stickers can be quite the monster. Now, for the initials that are on my 3 signs, they didn't mean anything to me. I am not planning on keeping those, so I'm just going to take my Ryobi mouse sander here, and I'm just going to lightly sand off those letters on each one of my signs. Now, depending on what you're using for your actual sign, you may have to completely paint over it. You may be able to sand it over like I'm doing here. Either way, go ahead and just have 3 signs that have a flat surface of some kind. You could even use contact paper or any kind of scrapbook paper or something to cover yours up. Totally up to you. Now, once I've got everything sanded and completely removed with all of the black kind of initial letters that were there. There's a couple little stragglers here behind. I am then going to take some white chalk paint and I am just going to do 2 coats over top of this. Now, for my chalk paint, again, I'm just using my regular white chalk paint here, and I am making sure that I've got at least 2 coats in that area that I've sanded, and then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fill in the other areas. I did just kind of work in the middle for the most part, and then I went back in towards the end there and just kind of touched up some of those spaces that were not completely covered. I really did like kind of that worn out kind of, not worn out, what's that look that I'm trying to get, that aged look. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, guys, but I think you understand what I'm doing here. I am just going to freshen up all of that white area, and then we are going to do something different with these signs. Now, for my signs themselves, I'm going to take my drill with a rather large drill bit, and I am going to drill through each side of the sign, or at least on the 2 sides of the sign. We're going to do this so the signs are going lengthwise. You could do this vertically or horizontally. It's totally up to you. For this particular design, I'm going on either end of the longer ends there. So hopefully that is making sense. Once I've got my 6 holes drilled in my signs, I'm then going to take my twine. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of any of that dust too. And I'm just going to thread this through. Now you can see I'm a bonehead here. I didn't remove any of the hardware or anything, but that's okay. After I've got my twine threaded through the first sign, I'm then going to add some beads. For my particular look here, I'm going to go with one of these darker beads and then with one of the lighter wash beads, and then I'm going to follow it up with another dark bead, and then I'm going to take my twine and I'm going to thread it through my next sign. I'm going to go ahead and peel off some of these beads that are on this piece of twine or this piece of garland that I've been using here, and I am just going to now thread it back through the other way. Come on, Jamie, get with it. Did you see there? I almost added another bead. So after you've got that pulled through, you're just going to go ahead and repeat that until you're all the way at the end. Now, once I've made it all the way through the other end, I am then going to take a tassel or take some twine and create a tassel. Again, I'm not the greatest at making these tassels, but I'll just kind of show you the way that I do it. The first thing I do is wrap a generous amount of twine over my 4 fingers here, and kind of make sure the end is going to be kind of where I started, or at least in the same general area. And then I go ahead and cut this off. Then I take the opposite end of where those kind of 2 pieces that are sticking out are, and I am just going to then take another piece of twine and kind of halfway wrap it around, sort of, and then I'm going to get confused, and now I'm going to remember what I need to do, and I'm going to tie the end of this kind of O onto the end of my rope, kind of like so. And then once I've got a nice tight kind of area there figured out, I'm then going to take a piece of twine and just wrap it around the middle and create my tassel. Once I have that first tassel done, then I'm just going to go ahead and tighten up all of my strings, and then I'm going to add another tassel on the other end of my 3-block formation here to give me something that looks like this when it's all done. Now for the customization of this, I'm actually going to be using my cutting machine. You can do anything that you want with this. You could use paint pens, you could use stickers from Dollar Tree, you could freehand this. There's a lot of fun ways that you can really personalize this. I'm using permanent vinyl, and I'm just going to go ahead and use my transfer tape, and then I am just going to kind of trace only around the area that I want to stick to my signs. This is a little bit of a trick that I learned just through kind of trial and error. Transfer tape tends to peel away paint. And if you do it this way, you actually get a better hold, not only with your vinyl, but it's also better because it actually prevents your paint from peeling away. So just a little tip that I've learned for those of you that have a cutting machine. If you're doing this freehand or if you are using stickers, then guess what? You don't have to deal with any of this. And when this is all done, you've got a great sign that says, "Bless this home." You could really do anything you want with this. I absolutely love this. You could connect multiple signs together and put family member names on it. I'm so pleased with this particular DIY. Probably one of my favorites. Right, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below which projects of the past were your favorites. There's definitely some really fun DIYs in this video that I think that you can definitely make now for springtime. Also, all of my regular subscribers, thank you guys so much for being here too. I really, really appreciate it. I am trying my best to respond back to comments and create new content. I've got a real estate final exam coming up very, very soon, and I am cramming and studying and cramming and doing everything I need to do in between. And it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Now, I've got a lot of TBD projects all over the floor here in my craft room, and those will be coming to you guys very, very soon. Now, if you are a brand new subscriber or maybe a brand new person checking out the channel for the first time, hopefully you will stick around and become a subscriber. Be sure to like and comment and notifications and all that other stuff that's popping up here on the bottom of the screen. And I look forward to hopefully sharing some not hopefully, we're not even going to put that out there. I'm looking forward to sharing some very, very good news with you guys soon and bringing you more content. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.